Early, but early, late, early. The audio is always a problem here at Market Vitals. The stream, Miss Trade, Matt Davio, HFR, Bob Heffernan. It's a Bob emergency. Heated debate, by the way. Heated debate on the way in on the GOAT. And it started because Matt shared Connor McDavid becomes sixth fastest player in NHL history to 600 career points. He did it in 421 games. And amazingly, Wayne Gretzky did it almost twice as fast. 274 games,
which again,
600 points.
Which again is, 2.2 or something, 2.2 points a game in your first 274 games. I mean, I remember as a kid, just, every night, right? The stats on Gretzky were unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, it's
and McDavid's only 4 seasons, whatever he is in, and his are unbelievable. And you're like, wow,
unreal.
He's this kid's fun to watch. I mean, and I think McDavid's only like 22. I mean, he's just literally like a kid, a baby. But he's an amazing skater, and he's on the great ones team. So I kind of dig that, like the whole vibration, a mirroring of the same thing 40 years later is pretty cool.
All right, man, we got a full week this week, and then we're fully on into the holiday season, right? So we thought we'd bring in a few of our favorite holiday things so far that we've seen in the past month or so. This one, Chevy Chase, it's beginning to look a lot like fuck you, and every day it begins to look a lot more like it. And we love that one. And then you got the Let's Go Brandon stockings ready and available for purchase. And don't forget the Let's Go Brandon wrapping paper. Matt, I'm reminded of the Star Wars movies where they say the harder you squeeze, like the harder they try to shut this down, the more fun people are having with it. Congratulations on another great tack taken by the powers that be. Unbelievable. All right. The other thing I noticed, Matt, it was the snow in Green Bay. And then Pax Trader shared this today, calling out Jimmy Juve. Remember Chicago surfing? Because Jimmy's been posting a bunch of surfing items from the least desirable surfing locale on the planet, Florida. But anyway, skitching or skeeching, this is how you did it in Chicago growing up. Just grabbing onto a bumper.
Sucking on the tailpipe as you
exactly. The only worst
hope that you don't hit the fire hydrant,
dude, or a divot. Like there's two things I wanted to comment here, and I forgot about the tailpipe, because if the tailpipe's on that side, that's the worst place to be. Second worst would be on the other side behind the tire, because that's you get smurfed with snow if you're in that position. This guy should be in the middle on the hitch, one hand on the hitch, primo position in skitching, because not only one hand on the hitch, then you are fully available to punch the guy next to you.
Right.
And maybe this guy survived.
Well, out here in the mountains, my kids unfortunately used to do the same thing, but they would add a tow rope from the summer wakeboarding, and either the wakeboard or the snowboard or skis. And, we'll add a few tricks, jumps around the light posts. And seeing those videos, I don't want to see them ever again in my life. They stress me out.
Skitching, another thing that we survived. All right, Matt, speaking of surviving, Michigan survived. Let's just call it what it was. I mean, that got tense there at the end of the game. Love this post because the old adage, defense wins line play wins championships, and talk about some beasts that they got.
Yeah, it was a nerve-wracking game. It wasn't just the end. It was the whole game, because Penn State's defense is good, really good, and their offense is god-awful. But we could not really move the ball, although that line did as best as they could. We usually go 1-2 punch with Corum and our other what's the guy's name? Haskins. And he had ended up with like 40 carries and 153 yards. And the interview that the gal tried to get with Harbaugh after the game was fantastic because she really wanted to pick his brain, and he was just giddy, and he had number 83 all with him, and he was like, this is the guy you want to talk to, which I just appreciate. I appreciate the kid's first touchdown and only touchdown in his career. What a play, what a memory, right? I mean, that's all, to me, that's what this is about, whether or not you ever go pro or do anything. Sometimes it's one catch your whole career, and he may not have another one. So good for him. What a play, the speed that he exhibited, and the play calling was gutsy because he sent the guys deep on the left, the long routes, which took away those safeties. And that guy, he had a feeling.
I got to tell you, watching it in real time, I thought he was going to get caught by the 20.
The speed was unbelievable.
Made it to just a great play. Man, how did you do? Let's refresh. I know you had
we had a great
won outright.
We won all 4 games on Saturday on the college side. We had the 3-team parlay, ding ding ding, and we had the Baylor money line as the solo underdog pick of the week, and they destroyed Oklahoma. And again, we've been talking about Oklahoma's been complaining they're number 8 in the college football poll at 9-0. I'm like, that's because you suck and you're in the Big 12. And your head coach is heading to Baton Rouge next year. So good luck, Oklahoma. Good luck.
It's like the market, Matt. You get price discovered out. You get to say whatever you want. You get and then on our lame NFL pick. Dude, the NFL is impossible.
Well, but like I said, we took the 2 double-digit dogs, and Indy was up 17-0, and they ended up winning by 6, so they choked it out for us. But the Bills destroyed the Jets, and the dollar hedge versus the 10 didn't cost you much, Lee. So that was a good hedge still, even though you hate
Lee. There's no chance he put money on the bets on the Jets to win. No chance.
You can't. I mean, overall, a very, very.
We got the left coast Liberal Bowl tonight, Matt. Monday Night Football. The Liberals taking the field on both sides of the left coast. Northern Cali against Southern Cali, and I got to tell you, man. The NFL is impossible to decide.
Well, just with the addition of OBJ and Von Miller from Denver, you would think just in your common sense brain that this should be an easy Rams victory, but it's in San Francisco, and even though they're not good on paper, it's never an easy game, right? So to your point, flip a coin. I don't know. I would probably bet on the Rams, but I bet you here's the one that I took yesterday. Like, this is more of an emotional trade, if you will, but it usually works. So don't bet big money on it. But yesterday, when Cam Newton got signed away from New England and he was playing for Carolina, going home where he won the Super Bowl, I'm like, he's going to be so jacked up. It's at home. No, it wasn't at home. It was at Arizona. I'm like, I'm taking the money line and Cam Newton all day. And they destroyed them. That game was over in the first half, 23-0 in the first half at Arizona. Congratulations, tip of the hat to Cam Newton, because that was a great performance.
All right, Matt. All we're saying is price discovery wins. At the end of the day. So we're going to talk about some things that we've talked about a lot. The dollar, the bonds, the SPOOs, Tesla. Let's go through them. But before we go through them, one last thing on the geopolitical front. This was from DeSantis from November 5th. And it's, we talk about trend lines always, right? Not that we're huge trend line people, but you have to respect trends, and trend lines are one way to dissect it. And this from November 5th, talking about immunity, and we're going to have the moving goalpost. And for sure it's coming. And then I saw this and I thought, this is the trajectory. This is where it goes. I can't wait until the 5th wave when the people with 4 shots are blaming it on the people with 3 shots, and so on and so on and so on. Anyway, Matt, we have talked about the longer term trajectory of the bonds and how at some point higher rates, higher prices all have to affect the stock market. The bonds we've been paying particular attention to this morning. So why don't we start there?
Yeah, well, we've been paying attention to them for a couple weeks, and we said, you get a counter trend rally to 164, please sell it. It'll be a gift, and sure enough, it has been a wonderful gift. And the bonds are trading back almost to 160 now. That did not take long, Bob. They ticked 164 or 102, and now are almost back into balance. And this is basically a quarterly chart. Balance takes you back to about 159 and 3/4. So not looking very healthy. And this should be, that I would call that a false breakout that we saw. And the bonds are really not looking good. Along with that, the dollar continues to be strong. And the dollar, I actually haven't looked at the price today, trying to find it here real quick. But it's back still above 95, and 95, basically making highs. And we've talked about it. 96 is the halfback, by the way. I kind of thought we'd see that this year, and I kind of thought we'd see it earlier. We had a kind of a bottoming at the start of the year, which we said we would continue to see since we were selling off last year. This year, it's back up, and we're almost to that halfway point, which is right around 96. So, maybe we get that by the end of the year. The way things are heading, we're definitely, we're trending that way. And there's, a definite low there that we saw back in June of 20 that bounced off of that level. And again, the 61.8 is up here right by 98. So I continue to say we're going to see par again at some point. Might not be this year, but it's been a very good year for dollar longs, dollar bulls. And we said this from day one, January 1, buy the dollar. It's going to go up this year, and it has. I find that to be pretty interesting. The other thing that I was just thinking about before we move to Tesla and some of these other names is looking at Apple, since the earnings, it has come back, right? It's had a nice little bounce, but it really hasn't done for me. Like, it's kind of surprising the way it's behaving to me. And let me bring in an 89-minute chart just so you can kind of see this spread out a little bit. It's just kind of trading. It's kind of chopping in between kind of the, 149, 148, 152 area. And that's kind of been doing, this was the earnings date right here, top, bottom, and it hasn't addressed neither top nor bottom yet. So I guess the next move will be, outside of that kind of 10-point range, 144 to 154. Which way we go is anybody's guess. So I'm not sure, what else I can say there, but it's just like we're pegged at 150 right now and have been really for the better part of a month on Apple into the earnings. We had the spike post earnings, but since then it just can't get out of its own way and make a decision directionally.
Right on, Matt. And the stock market, I mean, at some point it has to, things have to come back to reality as far as higher rates, inflation, margins getting squeezed from a labor and from an input costs. I mean, at some point, doesn't that matter?
Yeah, but again, as a momentum fan yourself, I mean, you know why this is happening. I mean, the SPOOs are down 20 a tick. They're down a quarter of a point.
Exactly.
Today. And if you sold the pre-market up there at 97, 98, that was a great trade. But since then, we're just kind of dragging along the bottom the rest of the day. And so unless you sold the open or, pre-open, which again, those levels made a lot of sense to me right near 4,700 again. So I was a seller, but that trade's over now. And we're just kind of back to,
amazingly, when we talked on Friday, I had pointed out the momentum level being at 81, and lo and behold, they rallied them right into the close. And I'll bring up that chart in a second because today's the day that they close out of that momentum level. Let me bring up the hog calendar spread that we talked about on Friday. And it again, we talked about it earlier in the day. They pushed them on the close and closed near the highs. I still believe in this spread. And here's another thing about this evolution of this trade. We fully come out of this lower momentum, right? We spiked, we closed in up momentum. Not only that, but today's continued action, not lower, has changed the slope of these lines. And I've talked about that in the S&Ps, the nuance that even if we close out of momentum, you need to change the slope of the lines for a longer term, bias towards strength or weakness. All right. And so this is going to become a longer term bias towards strength if we can close this up near $9, up near that collar, expanding potential to the upside, and a whole lot of room for the life of the contract back to the point of control, which is up near -$7, still right now trading -$9.50. Again, there's the nuance there. These bands have turned and the slope is kicked up in the direction of up momentum. And when we go and look at the SPOOs, where's the SPOOs? And here's the daily. Again, they rallied them at the end of the day and closed them still in that up momentum level after being out of it for 2 days. Today, they're just dancing around the level. And today, that momentum level is 46.84. And again, we need to close below it, and we need some lower action in order to affect the slope of the standard deviation lines. Incredibly important for me painting a longer term picture, like we have a temporary top in, and a temporary top could become a long-term top, obviously, as you go forward. But that's what I'm keeping an eye on, Matt. I don't want to see these things rally again today and close back above 84, which is that up momentum level on the daily. Nuance, mother, nuance.
Well, and it seems like now, I guess we're all waiting. There's so much tension going on in Poland, Belarus, Syria, our borders that everybody seems to have forgotten about, but the tension continues to grow in all these places. The amount of munitions that are being delivered to Ukraine by who knows, if we're supplying that. It's interesting. You were talking about it a little last night as we were, watching the end of that Packers game. Give us your take, on the Ukraine situation, because I thought it was a very good, astute, way of looking at it. Most people don't even look at a map, right? I've got a huge map in my TV room that shows it's a world map, and you pointed out from my limited perspective. Well, point out the importance of Ukraine.
Yeah, the limited stuff that I know. First of all, there wasn't a lot of hullabaloo over Russia annexing Crimea, because from what I have, learned is that it's mostly Russian people there. So there wasn't this, I think Putin said we could vote it in, but it's just easier for us to just go in and take it over, especially since they say there'll be a pushback, but there won't be a pushback. And there's a difference between that and Ukraine, so it's a little bit more delicate for them. But the fact of the matter is, Ukraine is the breadbasket of that region of the world. I mean, they grow a ton of wheat, a ton of grain. They feed a ton of people. So, I mean, I think the most important thing, geopolitics have always been, can you feed your people and can you heat their homes? And both of those things are incredibly important geopolitically going on there. And from what I understand, a lot of Eastern Ukraine is more Russian than Ukrainian. So maybe they want to rewrite the borders in Eastern Ukraine. But for sure, the most important thing is, listen, it's always about power and money. And the money is gleaned from the energy resources, the farming resources, and the route to the west that Ukraine offers for anybody east of there. And sticking on the energy thing, I mean, it just blows me away. We live in the age of irony, and it's so incredible because, the whole climate summit and the whole idea that the administration is asking OPEC to pump more oil, but they're supposed to be concerned about the climate. Like, the irony of it all is it's breathtaking. It's breathtaking. And now I saw this weekend that Biden is going to sign an executive order or wants to prohibit oil exploration for 20 years in the Chaco Valley of New Mexico, apparently an energy-rich resource. And let me just share you, I love sharing the Google map, because that's it. And I can understand why you'd want to protect this incredible natural resource of what exactly? I mean, let's keep going in. There's no people.
Well, that's where they do the moon landings.
it might as well be on Mars. I mean, in
That's-
fact, why go to Mars? Elon Musk, why go to Mars when you can go to the Chaco Valley? There is nothing here.
That's where they do the moon landings.
The- you love the layered view when it's just what is it? I don't know.
Rocks.
Let's make sure that OPEC pumps more oil from their deserts because
Nobody lives there. Nobody lives there, for God's sake. You don't want to disrupt any life. Speaking of renewable energy, let's take a look at Tesla making another new low here today. I believe the low they hit was right around high 970s, trading currently around 990. This thing is broken, whether or not Elon sells or not, and good for him for taking profits. Somebody using their brain, which he does often. Right? The guy is often, and he sold. Here's what's interesting. The guy is like, the playbook is great. Like, he doesn't even try to hide it. He tells you exactly what he's going to do. I'm going to sell. You want me to sell some stock, Bernie, to pay you some more taxes? What's fair to you? 53%? Fine. I'm going to sell some more stock. He sold his last property, his last real estate property. So to me, that's telling me this guy's smart. I mean, don't forget, he started PayPal and he understands finance a bit. Otherwise, Tesla would have never gotten off the ground. However, and whomever has financed Tesla from day one is a miracle. And the fact that it's not quite worth $1 trillion today, now in this new low at it's worth $995 billion. And the fact that he's put in his pocket close to $10 billion in the last week is smart to me. It's plain smart when you want to sell into strength and you want to buy weakness if you believe in your stories, right? And this thing, if you believe in this story, is going to trade back to this gap. We got gaps to fill. The first one is coming in here, at around 900. That one's going to come in. And this thing's going to trade back to 760 probably early next year. And people will be, saying how much of a value it is. Well, then you can have an argument down there. But right now, the bears are in control. Their earnings are off. They don't do any type of sales that suggest that this is going to continue to grow at this level. So, take profits, for God's sake. It's just the price action is all that matters. And this is telling you that it's flat out broke. Speaking of right sides, we've been talking about CrowdStrike over the year. This has been another one that's worth 56 billion. And, it's got a huge float. They're losing money. It's a software play, yada, yada. This was all, I think all this was coming out.
Wait a second, Matt. Let's go to the fundamental segment of Crowd. Okay, we're done with the fundamental segment. Carry on.
Well, but my point is, this thing was in the crosshairs during the 2016 election, right? It was all involved with Facebook. There was some type of software that was predictive AI modeling. So the story here is obviously breaking down a bit once again, and so I would watch this one. To me, Upstart, we've talked about this so many times. Anytime it rallies, please sell it, please, because it's just not going anywhere. It had a rally to that 250, 260 level again last week. Looks like it wants to break. Looks like it's going back to 200. That's the next level. Again, guess what?
That's just basically the last quarter. Last 3 months.
This is not even a month. This is October 18th when it spiked.
No, I get that. I'm saying the full profile.
But the point is, it happens so quickly when these things start right siding, get short. You don't even have to predict it, right? But when this thing broke down in here at 370, get short and buy some puts and write it down. I mean, if you bought the 200 puts, those things are going through the roof. They're going through the roof, and it's going to go trade to these levels. So there's a lot of ways to do these trades, and these right siders can be fast and furious. Another one to me that's going to come up again and again and again is this micro strategies. I mean, I'm so tired of talking about it, but every time it rallies, it sells off. So just wait for it to rally and then wait for it to start rolling again, and it will roll over. This thing will trade back to the 600s soon enough. There's just a lot of like big moves happening right now and a lot of right sides, and you really have to be wary. And I believe that the calendar is going to be really the biggest event that changes things going into 2022. It's going to be just the flip of the calendar because everything's been left side this year. Everything. It doesn't take monkeys. monkeys are flying out of witches' asses and making money right now.
And we're flipping the coin for the NFL. That's our new system.
That's
All right, Matt.
It's always been the system. It's always been the system for the NFL. And by the way, we got to celebrate my Lions.
Dude, how about it? Now, second week in a row. They were off last week. They didn't lose. They tied this week. They didn't lose. They're on.
That's a trend.
We talk streaks. The Lions are not losing lately.
That's
that's just a fact.
That is a trend.
That is a
You
trend.
make the trend.
The Lions are not losing lately. Oh, beautiful. Matt, 35th anniversary for the Beastie Boys. You got to fight for your right to party. I watched a bit of the video and completely politically incorrect in today's day and age. But listen, we're going to make it great
the
again.
Jews from the Bronx got to fight for your right to party.
Fight for your right to partay. That's all I got, Matt. Anything else?
We got a lot of good stuff, but we'll leave it for the next part of the week.
All right, man. All right. I will see you later. We will celebrate and have a nice time. Celebrate good times. Come on. Please join us at marketvitals.io. Please share and retweet the stream, the broadcast at will liberally. Please reach out.
Hey, Bob,
questions.
I got one more chart for you, and then I want you to model what I got you for your birthday. We got CROX. Now that you are fully on board.
Whoa. We just brought it up. Nice double top to be selling. Like what?
Very nice.
I mean, it's just rubber in a mold.
Yep. And I got Bob's.
What this one reminds me of too, honestly, is the Sam Adams one. I mean, when it was trading 1,200, you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, look at this thing, 184. I mean, it's going to trade back to. It's going to be halved. It's just a matter of you want left siders. This is a left sider.
I mean, it's such an easy trade right now, and believe me, you can lose a lot of money. New high, a new high, a new high. In fact, if you looked at that chart and sold every time it made a new high and then risked the new high, you're out a lot of money. But that being said, complete schmeezing today, and that's no cracks of shit. That's a painful little.
And by the way, just to bring up the Sam Adams chart, I mean, look at the stair step at 1320, and now it's back 1/3 of where it was.
1/3. So a 2/3 discount.
Kiss goodbye.
Right sides, baby. That's going to be the theme for 2022. All right, Matt.
Right,
HB, baby. HB. I'll see you later.
All right.